My husband's sister came for one night. By sunrise, she had torn everything apart. The betrayal didn't come from a stranger, it came from his blood, and it destroyed mine. My name is Rachel Torres, and I'm a pediatric nurse. I've spent 10 years building a life with my husband Marcus. We had trust, love, and a home, until his sister Maya decided none of that mattered, the unexpected guest. The phone rang at 11:30 on Thursday night. I was already in bed, half asleep, when I heard Marcus answer it in the hallway. His voice was low and concerned. I sat up, listening through the darkness. "Maya, what's wrong?" he asked. I pushed the blankets aside and walked to the doorway. Marcus stood there in his pajama pants, one hand running through his dark hair, the way he always did when he was stressed. His face was tight with worry. "Of course you can stay here," he said into the phone. "Don't worry about it. Just come over. We'll talk when you get here." When he hung up, I touched his arm. "Is everything okay?" Marcus turned to me, his brown eyes filled with concern. "Maya needs a place to stay tonight." She didn't say why, but she sounded upset. I told her she could come here. I nodded without hesitation. "That's fine. Family always comes first in our home." He kissed my forehead. "Thank you for understanding. I know it's late." I went downstairs to make sure the guest room was ready. I changed the sheets, fluffed the pillows, and set out fresh towels. Marcus paced in the living room, checking his phone every few minutes. His sister had always been dramatic, but something about this felt different. Maya arrived 40 minutes later. I heard her car pull into the driveway, and Marcus rushed to open the front door before she could knock. I stayed in the kitchen, giving them a moment alone. When I finally walked into the living room, Maya was standing there with 2 large suitcases. She wore a long coat over jeans and a sweater. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and her eyes were red like she'd been crying. "Rachel," she said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm so sorry to bother you this late." "It's no bother at all," I said, walking over to hug her. She felt stiff in my arms, like she didn't really want to be touched. "Are you okay?" "I will be," she said vaguely. "I just needed to get away for a night." Marcus picked up her suitcases. "I'll take these upstairs for you." Maya followed him, and I heard them talking in hushed voices as they climbed the stairs. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was serious and urgent. I stood at the bottom of the staircase, feeling suddenly uneasy. Something felt wrong. The way Maya had looked at me, or rather, the way she hadn't really looked at me at all. The way Marcus's voice dropped to a whisper the moment they were alone. The way she'd brought 2 suitcases for just one night. I pushed the feeling away and went back to bed. Family was family. Whatever was going on, we would help Maya through it. That's what we always did. The perfect sister. I woke up the next morning to the smell of bacon and coffee. For a moment, I thought Marcus had gotten up early to make breakfast. But when I checked his side of the bed, it was empty and cold. He'd been up for a while. I pulled on my robe and walked downstairs. The sound of laughter drifted from the kitchen. Marcus's deep chuckle mixed with Maya's lighter laugh. It was a sound that felt too intimate, too comfortable for 7 in the morning. When I walked into the kitchen, they were standing at the stove together. Maya was flipping pancakes while Marcus poured orange juice into 3 glasses. They looked like a picture from a magazine, the perfect siblings having a perfect morning. "Good morning," I said, my voice sounding too loud in the warm space. Marcus looked up and smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Morning, babe. Maya insisted on making breakfast for us." Maya turned around with a spatula in her hand. She was wearing one of my aprons, the blue one with white flowers that my mother had given me. Seeing it on her made my stomach twist. "I wanted to thank you both for letting me stay," Maya said sweetly. "It's the least I could do." I walked over to pour myself coffee, but Marcus had already filled my favorite mug. He handed it to me, and I noticed how Maya watched the exchange with an unreadable expression. Just her and Marcus, I thought. That's what Maya had said. She'd insisted on cooking breakfast for her and Marcus, not for all 3 of us. I sat down at the kitchen table while they continued cooking together. Maya touched Marcus's arm constantly, a hand on his shoulder when she laughed, fingers brushing his when she handed him a plate, leaning in close when she spoke to him. "Remember when Mom used to make these every Sunday?" Maya asked, her voice dripping with nostalgia. Marcus smiled. "I remember. You always ate 5 of them and then complained about being too full." They both laughed, and I tried to join in, but the moment felt closed off to me, like I was watching them through a window instead of sitting in my own kitchen. "Do you remember the time Dad tried to make pancakes and set off the smoke alarm?" Maya continued, her hand resting on Marcus's forearm. And the fire department showed up, Marcus finished, grinning. We were so embarrassed. I cleared my throat. That sounds like a funny memory. Maya glanced at me briefly, then turned back to Marcus. We had so many good times growing up. Sometimes I wish we could go back to those days. Marcus barely looked at me during the entire meal. He was completely absorbed in Maya's stories about their childhood, their parents, their old neighborhood. Every time I tried to contribute to the conversation, Maya would interrupt or steer it back to something only she and Marcus remembered. I ate my pancakes in silence, feeling like a stranger in my own home. Maya kept touching Marcus, his hand, his arm, his shoulder, and he didn't pull away. He seemed comfortable with it, like this was normal. When breakfast was over, I offered to clean up, but Maya insisted she would do it. You've done so much already, she said with that same smile that didn't reach her eyes. Let me take care of this. I went upstairs to get ready for my afternoon shift at the hospital. As I brushed my teeth, I could hear them laughing again downstairs. The sound followed me like a shadow. Something was very wrong. Secrets in the hallway. My shift at the hospital ended early because we were overstaffed. I drove home around 3 in the afternoon, looking forward to changing into comfortable clothes and relaxing. Maybe Maya would be gone by now, back to wherever she came from, but her car was still in the driveway. I unlocked the front door quietly, planning to surprise Marcus. That's when I heard the voices upstairs. They were arguing, or at least, Maya was crying and Marcus was trying to calm her down. I stood frozen at the bottom of the stairs, my hand still on the doorknob. I knew I should make my presence known, but something made me stay silent and listen. He deserves better than what he has, Maya was saying through her tears. Marcus, you have to see that. You deserve so much more. Maya, don't, Marcus started, but she cut him off. No, you need to hear this. I can't keep quiet anymore. You've been settling for so long, and it's killing me to watch it. My heart pounded in my chest. Were they talking about me? Was Maya saying Marcus deserved better than me? She's my wife, Marcus said firmly. I love her. Do you? Maya challenged. Or do you love the idea of her? The idea of the life you built together? There was a long pause. I held my breath, waiting for Marcus to defend me, to tell his sister she was wrong and out of line. But the silence stretched on, and I felt something inside me start to crack. I've been thinking about what you said last night. Marcus finally spoke, his voice so quiet I had to strain to hear it. About everything. And maybe you're right. Maybe I have been blind. My legs felt weak. What had Maya said to him last night? What poison had she been pouring into his ear while I slept? I'm only telling you this because I care about you, Maya said, her voice softer now. You're my brother. I want you to be happy, and I don't think you can be truly happy as long as… She stopped mid-sentence. I looked up and saw her standing at the top of the stairs, staring down at me. Her face showed surprise for just a moment before it smoothed into something unreadable. Rachel, she said. You're home early. Marcus appeared behind her, his face pale. He looked at me with an expression I couldn't interpret. Guilt, maybe, or confusion, or something worse. The silence that followed felt like a death sentence. I stood there in my scrubs, my purse still hanging from my shoulder, feeling like an intruder in my own home. I need to talk to you, Marcus said, his voice heavy. Can you come upstairs? I climbed the stairs slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. Maya moved aside to let me pass, and I caught a glimpse of something in her eyes. Triumph, satisfaction, something dark and victorious. Whatever was about to happen, I knew my life was about to change forever. The confession, Marcus, led me into our bedroom and closed the door. Maya stayed in the hallway, but I could feel her presence there, listening, waiting. Sit down, Marcus said, gesturing to the bed. His voice was cold and distant, like he was talking to a stranger. I sat down slowly, my hands trembling in my lap. Every instinct told me to run, to leave before he could say whatever he was about to say. Maya told me something last night, Marcus began, standing by the window with his arms crossed. Something I never knew. Something that changes everything about our marriage. My mouth went dry. What are you talking about? The door opened and Maya stepped inside. She walked over to stand behind Marcus, her hand resting on his shoulder like she belonged there, like she had every right to be part of this conversation. I think you know, Maya said softly. Don't you, Rachel? I looked between them, confusion mixing with growing fear. I have no idea what you're talking about. Marcus turned to face me fully. His eyes were hard, filled with anger and hurt. David, Marcus's best friend since college. You've been having an affair with him. The words hit me like a physical blow. I actually gasped, my hand flying to my chest. What? No, Marcus, that's insane. I would never. Don't lie to me, he said, his voice rising. Maya has proof. She's been watching you for months because she suspected something, and she was right. I stood up, my legs shaking. Maya is lying. I have never cheated on you. Not with David, not with anyone. Maya stepped forward, her face a mask of false sympathy. I wish I was lying, Rachel. I really do. But I saw the messages. I saw the photos. I know what you've been doing. What messages? What photos? I demanded. Show me. Marcus pulled out his phone and started scrolling. The text messages between you and David from 2 years ago, the photos of you meeting him at that coffee shop downtown, the hotel receipts. Hotel receipts? I interrupted, my voice shrill with panic. I've never been to a hotel with David. Marcus, you have to believe me. This is crazy. But he wouldn't look at me. He just kept reading from his phone, listing evidence I had never created. Evidence that couldn't exist because I had never done what Maya was accusing me of. March 15th, 2 years ago, Marcus read. You texted David saying, I can't wait to see you tonight. The secret is killing me. April 3rd, you met him at the Riverside Hotel. June 22nd. Stop, I shouted. I never sent those messages. Marcus, please look at me. He finally met my eyes, and what I saw there broke my heart. He had already decided I was guilty. Maya had poisoned him against me so completely that nothing I said would matter. Why would Maya lie about this? He asked quietly. I don't know, I whispered. But she is, I swear on everything we've built together. I have never been unfaithful to you. Maya moved closer to Marcus, her arm sliding around his shoulders. I know this is hard to accept, Rachel, but denying it won't change the truth. The evidence is right there. I couldn't breathe. The room felt too small, too hot. My vision blurred with tears as I realized what was happening. Maya had set me up. She had manufactured evidence, created a false narrative, and turned my own husband against me. And Marcus believed her. He believed his sister over his wife. The evidence game. Maya pulled a manila folder from her purse. She'd been carrying it this whole time, planning this moment. She handed it to Marcus, who opened it and started pulling out printed pages. These are the text messages, Maya said, her voice sickeningly sweet. I had them professionally retrieved from the phone company. She spread them across our bed, pages and pages of text conversations between my number and David's number. Messages I had never sent, conversations I had never had. I can't keep doing this, one message read in what was supposedly my words. Marcus is getting suspicious. Another one said, meet me at our usual spot. I need to feel your arms around me. I felt sick. Someone had created these messages using my phone number. Someone had gone to incredible lengths to make this look real. And these, Maya continued, pulling out photographs, are pictures I took of you and David together. The photos showed me and David at various locations. There was one of us at the coffee shop near the hospital, another at a restaurant downtown, one outside a shopping mall. In every photo, we were standing close together, talking, sometimes laughing. But I remembered these moments. David and I had met for coffee 3 times over the past 2 years, always to discuss Marcus's birthday or Christmas presents. The restaurant photo was from a group dinner with 5 other people. The mall photo was from when we ran into each other by accident. These are taken completely out of context, I said desperately. Marcus, David is your friend. We've met a few times to plan surprises for you. Don't, Marcus said harshly. Don't try to explain away what's right in front of my eyes. Maya pulled out more papers. And these are credit card statements showing charges to hotels on nights when you told Marcus you were working late shifts. I grabbed the papers from her hand. The charges were there, charges to my credit card at hotels I had never visited. Dates that corresponded with nights I had actually been at the hospital. This is impossible, I whispered. Someone stole my credit card information. Someone is framing me. But even as I said it, I could see Marcus didn't believe me. Every piece of evidence Maya presented built a stronger case. Every coffee meeting, every innocent conversation with David had been twisted into proof of an affair that never happened. I tried to explain each photo, each message, each receipt, But Marcus wouldn't listen. He stood there with his arms crossed, his face like stone. Maya stood beside him, her hand protectively on his arm, playing the role of concerned sister perfectly. "Why are you doing this?" I finally asked Maya directly. "What do you gain from destroying my marriage?" She looked at me with false sympathy. "I'm not destroying anything, Rachel. You did that yourself. I'm just helping my brother see the truth." I realized then that Maya had been planning this betrayal for months, maybe even longer. She had carefully collected photos, created fake messages, somehow stolen my credit card information. Every piece of evidence had been manufactured with precision and patience. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked her. Maya's expression flickered for just a second, a flash of something dark and satisfied, but she quickly covered it with concern. "I've suspected for about 6 months, but I only started gathering proof 3 months ago. I had to be sure before I told Marcus." I looked at my husband, the man I had loved for 10 years, the man I had built a life with, and I saw that I had already lost him. Maya had won, the truth behind the lies. Marcus told me to leave, to pack a bag and stay somewhere else while he figured things out. I spent that night at my friend Sarah's apartment, crying on her couch while she tried to comfort me. But I couldn't accept what was happening. I couldn't let Maya's lies destroy everything. So the next morning, I called David. "Rachel," he answered, sounding surprised. "Is everything okay?" "No," I said. "Nothing is okay. David, did Maya contact you recently?" There was a pause. "How did you know?" My heart started racing. "What did she say to you?" "She called me about 2 weeks ago," David explained. "She said she wanted to plan a surprise party for Marcus's birthday. She asked me not to mention it to you or Marcus because she wanted it to be a secret." "Did she ask you anything else?" "Yeah, actually. She asked me to confirm dates when you and I had met up. She said she was making a photo collage of Marcus's life and wanted to include pictures of his friends. I thought it was a little weird, but she's his sister, so—" "She used that information to set me up," I said. "She's been telling Marcus that you and I are having an affair." "What?" David's voice exploded through the phone. "That's insane, Rachel. We've never—" "I know," I said quickly, "but she manufactured evidence, text messages, photos, everything, and Marcus believes her." David was quiet for a moment. "Rachel, about 3 months ago, I started getting weird messages on my phone, text messages that looked like they were from you, but the way they were written didn't sound like you. I thought my phone was glitching or something." "What did the messages say?" "Flirty things, inappropriate things." I deleted them because they made me uncomfortable. But now I realize she was messaging me from a fake account pretending to be you, wasn't she? Everything clicked into place. Maya had been messaging David from an account that looked like mine. She had photoshopped evidence and manipulated timestamps on everything. She had created an entire fake affair out of thin air. But why? What did Maya gain from destroying my marriage? I spent the rest of the day digging. I called Marcus's parents, trying to understand if there was history between Maya and me that I didn't know about. His mother was cold on the phone. "Maya told us everything," she said stiffly. "We're very disappointed in you, Rachel." "It's not true," I pleaded. "She's lying. Please, you have to believe me." But she hung up. Maya had already poisoned them against me, too. That evening, I remembered something. Marcus's father had passed away 6 months ago. In his will, he had left everything to Marcus, a significant inheritance that included property, investments, and cash. But there had been one condition. I pulled out the will documents Marcus had shown me. I read through them carefully until I found the clause I was looking for. "The inheritance shall be transferred to Marcus Torres upon the condition that he remains married for a minimum of 10 years from the date of his marriage to Rachel Torres. Should the marriage end in divorce before this period, the inheritance shall be divided equally among all living children." We had been married for almost exactly 10 years. Our anniversary was in 3 weeks. If Marcus divorced me before our anniversary, Maya would get half of the inheritance. That's what this was about. Not love, not family loyalty, money. Maya wanted Marcus's inheritance, and our marriage was the only obstacle standing in her way. Gathering my proof, I wasn't going to let Maya win. I wasn't going to let her steal my marriage and Marcus's inheritance with her lies. But I needed proof, real proof, that could expose her for what she was. The next morning, I hired a digital forensic specialist. His name was Tom, and he specialized in cases involving digital fraud and identity theft. I paid him $3,000 up front and gave him everything I had. The fake text messages, the photos, the credit card statements. "Give me 3 days," Tom said. "If these messages were manufactured, I'll find the proof." While Tom worked on the digital evidence, I went back to my house when I knew Marcus would be at work. I needed to search Maya's room. I needed to find something, anything that could prove she had set me up. The guest room looked normal at first. The bed was made, her suitcases were neatly stacked in the corner, but when I checked the closet, I found a small leather journal hidden under a stack of clothes. My hands shook as I opened it. The first page was dated 3 months ago. "Today I made my first move," Maya had written. "I contacted David and started building the foundation. Marcus deserves better than Rachel. He deserves someone who truly understands him. Someone like me." I felt sick as I continued reading. Page after page detailed Maya's plan to destroy my marriage. She had been obsessed with Marcus, not as a sister, but as something much darker. "I've loved him since we were teenagers," one entry read. "I know it's wrong, but I can't help how I feel. Rachel doesn't appreciate him. She doesn't see how special he is. If I can make him see the truth about her, maybe he'll finally see me the way I see him." Another entry described how she had hired someone to Photoshop the photos of me and David, how she had created the fake text messages using a spoofing service, how she had stolen my credit card information and made the hotel charges herself. "It's all coming together perfectly," she wrote. "Marcus is starting to doubt Rachel. Soon he'll ask her to leave. And when she's gone, I'll be there to comfort him. I'll be the one he turns to, the one he needs." The final entry was from the day before she came to our house. "Tomorrow night, I'll tell Marcus everything. I'll show him the evidence. I'll make him see that Rachel has betrayed him. And then, finally, he'll be mine. He was always meant to be mine." I took photos of every page with my phone. This was the evidence I needed. This was proof of Maya's obsession and her lies. But I needed more. I needed her to admit what she had done. That afternoon, I set up my phone to record audio. Then I went back to the house and found Maya in the kitchen, making herself lunch. "We need to talk," I said calmly. Maya looked up, surprised to see me. "What are you doing here?" "I know what you did," I said. "I know about the fake messages, the photoshopped pictures, everything, and I know why you did it." For a moment, Maya's mask slipped. I saw the real person underneath, the obsessed, desperate woman who had been planning this for months. "You can't prove anything," she said. "Actually, I can, but I want to hear you say it. Why, Maya? Why did you do this to me, to your own brother?" She stared at me for a long moment, then she started laughing. It was a cold, bitter sound that made my skin crawl. "Because I love him," she said simply. "I've always loved him, and you were in the way." I kept the recording going as she continued to talk, admitting everything. How she had set me up, how she had manipulated Marcus, how she had always wanted my life. "You don't deserve him," Maya said, her voice filled with venom. "I would do anything for Marcus. Anything, and I have." I had everything I needed. The confrontation. 3 days later, Tom called me with the forensic evidence. He had traced the fake messages back to Maya's devices, her computer and her phone. He had proof that the text messages had been created using a spoofing service. He had evidence that the credit card charges were made by someone who had stolen my information. I had everything. The journal entries, the recording, the forensic evidence. Now I just needed to present it all at once, in front of witnesses who couldn't be manipulated by Maya's lies. I called Marcus's parents and asked them to come to the house for a family meeting. I told them it was urgent and that both Marcus and Maya needed to be there. They agreed, though his mother's voice was cold and reluctant. That Saturday afternoon, everyone gathered in our living room. Marcus sat on the couch next to Maya, their parents sat in the armchairs, and I stood by the television where I had connected my laptop. "Thank you all for coming," I said, my voice steady, despite my racing heart. "I know Maya has told you about the affair she claims I've been having. I know you all believe her, but I'm here to show you the truth." Marcus looked at me with tired eyes. "Rachel, we've been through this." "Just listen," I interrupted. "Please, give me 10 minutes. If you still believe Maya after that, I'll leave and never bother you again." His mother sighed. "Fine, 10 minutes." I took a deep breath and pressed play on the recording I had made. Maya's voice filled the room, clear and undeniable. "Because I love him. I've always loved him. And you were in the way." Maya's face went pale. She jumped to her feet. "Where did you get that?" "Sit down," Marcus's father said firmly. "Let her finish." I played the entire recording, Maya admitting to creating the fake messages, to photoshopping the photos, to stealing my credit card information, her voice confessing that she had been in love with Marcus since they were teenagers. When the recording ended, the room was completely silent. Marcus stared at his sister with an expression of horror and disbelief. His mother had her hand over her mouth. "That's not," Maya started, but I cut her off. "There's more," I said, pulling up the forensic report on my laptop. "I hired a digital forensic specialist. He traced the fake messages back to your devices, Maya. Your computer, your phone. Here's the proof." I showed them the report, page by page, the technical details that proved every message had been manufactured, the timestamps that had been manipulated, the evidence of the spoofing service Maya had used. Finally, I held up the journal. "And I found this in the guest room. Your own words, Maya. Your own plan, written in your own handwriting." I read selected passages aloud. The room grew colder with each word. Marcus's face had turned a sickly gray color. He looked like he might throw up. "Maya," he said quietly, "tell me this isn't true." Maya looked around the room, seeing that she had no way out. Her carefully constructed lies were crumbling around her. She tried to run toward the door, but Marcus's father stood up and blocked her path. "Sit down," he commanded. "Now, the fallout." Maya collapsed back onto the couch. For a long moment, she just sat there, staring at her hands. Then slowly she started to cry. But these weren't the manipulative tears she had cried before. These were real tears, tears of defeat. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Marcus stood up and moved away from her, like he couldn't bear to be close to her anymore. "How could you do this? How could you lie to me like that?" "Because I love you," Maya said, her voice breaking. "I've been in love with you since we were 16 years old. I know it's wrong. I know it's sick, but I couldn't help it. And when Dad left you that inheritance with the condition that you had to stay married, I saw my chance." Marcus's mother gasped. "You did this for money?" "No!" Maya looked up desperately. "It wasn't about the money. Not really. I wanted him to be free. Free to see me, to choose me. Rachel doesn't understand him the way I do. She doesn't love him the way I—" "Stop," Marcus said harshly. "Just stop talking." He turned to me, his eyes filled with tears. "Rachel, I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. I should have questioned the evidence. I should have trusted my wife over anyone else. I wanted to run to him, to hold him, and tell him it was okay. But it wasn't okay. He had chosen his sister's lies over 10 years of marriage. He had looked at manufactured evidence and decided I was guilty without giving me a real chance to defend myself. You broke my trust, I said quietly. You believed the worst of me without hesitation. Marcus's father walked over to Maya. His face was hard and disappointed. You need to leave this house right now. Take your things and go. Dad, please, Maya started. Now, he repeated. We will discuss your inheritance and your place in this family later. Right now, you need to leave. Marcus grabbed Maya's suitcases from the guest room and brought them downstairs. He opened the front door and stood there, waiting. Maya looked at each of us, searching for someone who might defend her, but no one spoke. She walked to the door slowly, her shoulders slumped. When she reached Marcus, she stopped. I really do love you, she whispered. You don't know what love is, Marcus said coldly. And you're not my sister anymore. Don't ever contact me again. Maya left. Her parents followed her outside to make sure she actually got in her car and drove away. I watched from the window as she pulled out of the driveway, probably for the last time. When Marcus's parents came back inside, his mother walked straight to me. She took my hands in hers. I'm so sorry, Rachel. I should have listened to you. I should have given you a chance to explain. We all should have, Marcus's father added. Maya has always been troubled, but we never imagined she was capable of something like this. They left shortly after, promising to call soon, and then Marcus and I were alone in the house that suddenly felt too big and too empty. He stood across the living room from me, his hands in his pockets, looking lost. Can you forgive me? He asked. I didn't answer right away. I thought about everything that had happened, the betrayal, the accusations, the way he had looked at me like I was a stranger, the way he had believed Maya so easily. I don't know, I finally said. You hurt me, Marcus. You didn't just believe a lie. You turned away from me completely. How do I trust you again? He nodded slowly. tears running down his face. I understand. Whatever you need, time, space, anything, I'll give it to you, rebuilding from ashes. The weeks that followed were difficult. Marcus and I stayed in the same house, but we lived like polite strangers. He slept in the guest room. We barely spoke. The silence was painful, but I needed it. I needed time to process everything that had happened. Marcus begged for my forgiveness almost every day. He sent me flowers with notes that said, "I'm sorry," in a dozen different ways. He left small gifts on the kitchen counter, my favorite coffee, a book I had mentioned wanting to read, a new pair of the fuzzy socks I liked to wear around the house. But words and gifts couldn't erase the pain. They couldn't fix what Maya had broken. 2 weeks after the confrontation, I told Marcus we needed to go to counseling if our marriage was going to survive. He agreed immediately. We found a therapist who specialized in trust and betrayal, and we started going twice a week. The sessions were hard. I had to talk about how much Marcus's immediate belief in Maya's lies had hurt me. He had to confront why he had been so quick to doubt me. We cried a lot, we fought sometimes, but slowly, very slowly, we started to heal. Maya tried to contact Marcus several times. She called, she texted, she even showed up at his office once. But he refused to see her or speak to her. His parents had cut her off completely, from the family gatherings, from the inheritance, from everything. I heard through Marcus's mother that Maya had moved to another state. She had lost her job because of the stress and the scandal. The family had essentially disowned her. Part of me felt bad for her, despite everything she had done. But mostly I felt relief that she was gone. 3 months after everything happened, Marcus and I decided to move. We couldn't stay in the house where Maya had stayed, where her lies had poisoned our home. We found a smaller place across town, a fresh start with no bad memories attached. On moving day, as we packed boxes in our new living room, Marcus pulled me close. "I know I don't deserve you," he said softly. "I know I failed you when you needed me most. But I promise I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I will never doubt you again. I will never choose anyone over you again." I looked up at him, at this man I had loved for 10 years, who had hurt me so deeply, but who was trying so hard to make things right. "It's going to take time," I said honestly. "I'm not fully healed yet. I still have moments where I remember how you looked at me that day, and it hurts all over again." "I know," he whispered. "Take all the time you need." We celebrated our 10th anniversary quietly, just the two of us. It wasn't the joyful celebration I had once imagined, but it was real, and it was honest, and it was ours. 6 months after Maya's betrayal, I can say that things are better. Not perfect, but better. Marcus and I are rebuilding our trust piece by piece. We're learning how to be us again, but stronger this time, more careful with each other's hearts. I changed my phone number and blocked everyone who had sided with Maya without giving me a chance to defend myself. I learned who my real friends were during this crisis, the ones who stood by me even when the evidence looked bad. Maya never apologized. I don't expect her to. She got what she wanted in some sick way. She destroyed what Marcus and I had, but she also destroyed herself in the process. The inheritance that Maya had wanted so badly, Marcus donated half of it to a charity that helps victims of family manipulation and abuse. The other half went into a trust that Maya can never touch. His parents supported the decision completely. I'm still healing. Some days are harder than others. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, remembering how it felt to stand in my kitchen while Maya and Marcus laughed together, excluding me from my own life. Sometimes I remember the coldness in Marcus's eyes when he believed his sister's lies. But I'm learning to forgive. Not just Marcus, but myself too. I blamed myself for not seeing the signs earlier, for not protecting my marriage better, for being too trusting. But our therapist helped me understand that Maya's betrayal wasn't my fault. I couldn't have prevented what someone else planned in secret. Marcus and I are different now. We're more careful with each other, more aware of how fragile trust really is. We check in with each other constantly. We talk about our feelings instead of assuming. We don't let anyone, not family, not friends, come between us. I learned some hard lessons through this nightmare. I learned that family can hurt you worse than strangers because you trust them more. I learned that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. I learned that jealousy and obsession can make people do terrible things. But I also learned that love can survive betrayal if both people are willing to fight for it. I learned that forgiveness is possible, even when the hurt runs deep. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was. Last week, I ran into David at the grocery store. We talked for a few minutes, carefully and politely. He told me he was sorry for his part in everything, even though he hadn't known what Maya was doing. He said he and Marcus were working on rebuilding their friendship too. It's weird how one person's lies can damage so many relationships, David said. He was right. Maya's betrayal had rippled out, touching everyone around her. But we were all recovering, finding our way back to each other. As I drove home that day, I thought about the woman I used to be, the one who believed family always came first, who trusted without question, who thought love was enough to protect her from harm. That woman was gone. She died the morning Maya's lies came to light. The woman I am now is wiser, stronger, more cautious. I don't trust blindly anymore. I protect my heart more carefully. I know that sometimes the people who should love you most can hurt you the deepest, but I also know that I survived. I gathered my proof, I exposed the truth, and I fought for my marriage. I didn't let Maya's betrayal destroy me completely. I'm still here, still standing, still moving forward. Marcus came home from work that evening and found me in our new kitchen making dinner. He wrapped his arms around me from behind and kissed my shoulder. "I love you," he said simply. "I know," I replied. And I did know. Despite everything, despite the pain and the betrayal and the long road to healing, I knew Marcus loved me, and I was learning to trust that love again. We ate dinner together, talking about our days, making plans for the weekend. It was normal and ordinary and exactly what we needed. No drama, no lies, no poison hiding beneath the surface, just us, rebuilding our life one day at a time. I still have moments of anger. Sometimes I think about Maya and wonder if she ever truly understands what she destroyed. Sometimes I imagine confronting her again, telling her exactly how much damage she caused. But mostly, I try not to think about her at all. She doesn't deserve space in my head or my heart. She made her choices, and now she has to live with the consequences. I made my choice too, to stay, to fight, to heal. And I'm at peace with that decision. Our therapist told us recently that we're making remarkable progress. She said many couples don't survive what we went through, but we're not just surviving, we're actually building something stronger than what we had before. Because now we know how fragile trust is. We know how easily lies can poison even the strongest relationship. And we know how much work it takes to rebuild after betrayal. We don't take each other for granted anymore. Last night, Marcus and I sat on our new couch in our new living room, and he asked me something he'd been afraid to ask. "Do you think you'll ever fully trust me again?" I thought about it carefully before answering. I think trust isn't something you have completely or not at all. It's something you build, piece by piece, every single day. And yeah, I think we're building it. Slowly, but we're building it. He nodded, relieved. That's all I can ask for. As I write this now, looking back on everything that happened, I realize that Maya's betrayal taught me the most important lesson of all, that you can survive anything if you're willing to face the truth and fight for what matters. My marriage matters, my healing matters, my ability to trust again matters. 6 months ago, I thought my life was over. I thought Maya had destroyed everything I loved, but she only destroyed what was already fragile. What we're building now is stronger, more honest, more real. I'm no longer the woman who trusts blindly. I'm the woman who trusts carefully, who loves fiercely, and who knows her own worth. I'm the woman who stood up to lies and fought back with truth. I'm the woman who survived betrayal and came out stronger on the other side. And I'm finally, slowly, learning to be okay with that. The scars are still there. They probably always will be. But scars are proof that you survived something that tried to break you. And I survived. We survived. That's enough for now. That's everything.